Okay. A painter needs 5 gallons of paint to finish a house. He has 3 quarts and 1 pint. How much more paint does he need? So this is a little bit of like different units. So they mentioned gallons, quarts, and pints. So this is kind of testing if you know your conversions, and hopefully you know them. So just to state the conversions, I'm just going to write them down on the side, then we'll deal with them. So the conversions, 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts. And that's kind of easy to remember because quarts sounds like quarters, and it's like a dollar, like there's 4 quarters in $1. 1 quart is equal to 2 pints. So these are the two conversions we're going to need. We need a total of 5 gallons. He has 3 quarts and 1 pint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that pint into a quart, add it to the 3 quarts, and then try to figure out how much am I missing from the 5 gallons. So I'm going to change everything to quarts first. So we're going to have to change these 5 gallons. We're going to need to figure out how many quarts that's going to be. And 1 gallon we said was 4 quarts. So let's figure out what that's going to give us. We're going to cross multiply and divide. And it turns out that we are going to need a total of 20 quarts of paint. Are we all good up to that point?
Yep.
Okay. Now we know how many quarts we need. So now let's figure out how much does he actually have. So he actually has, well, we need to convert this 1 pint. Well, that one's easy. 1 quart, I hope you guys can do this one on your head. 1 quart is 2 pints. So how many quarts do you have if you only have 1 pint?
Wait, hold on. Can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah.
Repeat the question.
That's okay. We know this is true, right?
Mhm.
1 quart, 2 pints. So 1 quart, 2 pints. If you only have 1 pint, how many quarts do you have?
4.
1.
Wait.
Half. I mean half.
Half. There you go. You have half. You have half. Because if 2 then makes 1, but you only got 1, that means you only got half of it.
Yeah.
So this right here, this is what he has. He has 3 quarts and 1/2 of a quart. So in reality, he has 4.5 quarts. So the question is, how much more does he need? Well, he needs 20. He already has 4.5. So let's subtract that. I'm going to add a 0 here because I'm going to need it.
I have a question. How did you get 4.5 quarts?
I'm sorry, it's 3.5. You're right. I'm done. Sorry. Thank you for that. So we know how much he needed. We know how much he has. Let's just subtract to see how much is missing. So I'm going to subtract here. This is going to turn into a 1. This is going to turn into a 10, but then that becomes a 9. So this becomes a 10. So that'll be 5 decimal, and that'll be 6, and that'll be 1. So he's missing 16.5 quarts. All of your answer choices are in gallons. So we need to change that back to gallons. Let's do that. So we have 16.5 quarts. So we know 16 quarts. And this 0.5 quarts. Now, what did we say was 0.5 quarts?
1 pint.
1/2.
1 pint.
1/2.
So we already know this is just 1 pint. So already you can eliminate one of your answer choices. You can eliminate A because A doesn't have the 1 pint. Now we just need to figure out how many quarts, how many gallons are in 16 quarts. So I want you guys to tell me, how many gallons do I have if I have 16 quarts?
4.
I have 4. Very good. I have 4 gallons. because 16 divided by 4 is 4. So your final answer is that you need 4 gallons and 1 pint in order to be able to paint this house. So I know this one kind of was like bouncing back and forth between conversions, so let me just kind of rewind and re-explain. So step number 1, I wrote down my conversions because I knew I was going to need them. So that was step number 1. Step number 2 was to convert the number of gallons that he needs. I converted that to quarts. Step number 3, I determined how many quarts does he already have. And step number 4 was to subtract and figure out how many is he missing. And the last step, number 5, was to convert what he was missing, converting it to gallons and pints. So 5 steps. Are we okay with that one? Is there anything that confuses you?
I'm
How do you
kind
do
of
the gallon?
Sorry?
I was asking how you get a full gallon. How you convert it?
The 4 gallons came from the fact that 16 quarts, 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts. So if I divide this by 4, I'm going to get 4 gallons. Because we're going from a small unit to a bigger unit, so you're going to divide and you're going to end up dividing by 4. Alrighty. Any other questions on this problem that throws you off, that confuses you, that you want me to go back to?
nope.
We're okay? Okay. Alrighty. If an airplane flies at an average speed of 7.5 miles per minute, that's really slow, and in 1.5 hours, it will have flown. Okay. What kind of problem do you think we have here? I want you guys to tell me, like, what problem do you think they're trying to situate here?
As a rate.
Yes, there's a rate. And that giant keyword should jump out at you. So we have 7.5 miles for 1 minute. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down. 7.5 miles in 1 minute. And we flew for a total of 1.5 hours. What do you notice is going to be an issue for you?
You have to convert the half.
Okay, you're going to have to deal with the mixed number then the half. Yeah, but beyond that, what is the issue with 1.5?
You have
Probably
hours and you need minutes.
There you go. They give it to you in hours. You need that as minutes.
So
So
what
we're going to have a second
60.8
proportion to
something?
change it. We're going to have a second. Sorry, what was that?
No, I was asking since like 1 minute is 60 minutes is like an hour.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Okay,
so we're going to take
to
this
convert-
1.5 hours. We're going to take the 1.5 hours, and I will be nice to you guys. I know you want me to change it to a decimal, so I'll change it to a decimal. So we have 1.5 hours. So this is 1.5. 1.5 hours. We want to figure out how many minutes that's going to be. And like Cassie was saying, 1 hour is 60 minutes. So we can cross multiply here. Oops, divided the wrong thing. And divide. So the number of minutes will equal to 1.5 times 60. Everything divided by 1, but that's not going to change anything. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply this times 60. That'll be 0,
Is it
0, 30, carry the 3, 9. So this would give me 90. So this is equal to 90 minutes, and we want to figure out how many miles that is. So now we have a second proportion to solve, and we're going to do everything the same exact thing. We're going to multiply first and then divide. So the X number of miles will equal to 7.5 times 90 divided by 1 is not going to change anything. So we're just going to have times 90. So that will be 45, carry the 4. 63 plus 4 is 67? Yeah. And then I need one number behind the decimal. So my final answer will be 675 miles. So again, I think I noticed that you guys are starting to kind of catch like these little details that they try to use to confuse you. So yeah, they presented the problem first with a rate that had minutes, and then they throw you a number that's hours. So always pay close attention to the units. They will always try to trick you by switching up a unit to see if you know how to convert them. Okay, so I'm glad to see that you guys are starting to catch on to those little details. Okay. The next one we have says, a man gets 3 rolls of coins from the bank. Each roll contains $5 worth of coins. If he has one roll each of dimes, quarters, and half dollars, how many coins does he have in all? Oh, okay, this is going to be a few proportions. So the first thing he tells me is that each roll contains $5. So one roll has $5 in coins, whether it's in dimes or in quarters or in half dollars. I haven't seen a half dollar in years, but how many coins does he have in all? So first we're going to figure out how many dimes, then how many quarters, then how many half dollars, and then we just have to add everything together. So we need to figure out the number of dimes, the number of quarters. Oh my God, there's like a little mosquito in my house. And we're going to have the half dollars. Oh my God, if that mosquito touches my face one more time, I'm going to lose my crap. Sorry. Okay, so how many dimes are in a dollar, guys?
10.
So $1, 10 dimes, and we have a total of $5. So how many dimes would we have? We're gonna have 50 dimes. Okay, so far we have 50 dimes. 50 dimes plus. Now let's do quarters. How many quarters in $1?
2.
4.
Sorry.
It's okay. So now I want you guys to tell me how many quarters should I have if I have $5? I should have 20. So the quarters, I should have a total of 20. And now the last one, how many half dollars do I have in a dollar?
50 cents.
Well, yes, it's 50 cents, but how many 50 cents do I have in $1?
2. Okay.
2.
2.
2, because if it's 50 cents, then you need 2 to get to $1. So we're gonna have 2. How many half dollars will I have in $5? I'm gonna have 10.
10.
Okay. Now we just add all these up. That's gonna be 0. That's gonna be 7 plus 1 is 8. So we have a total of 80 coins. So this problem was pretty straightforward, but it seemed like a lot just because we had like 3 conversions to do. I set this up as proportions so that you could understand where the numbers come from. But hopefully you guys are able to see that if you're converting from a small unit to a bigger unit, you're going to need to divide. And if you're going from a big unit to a small unit, you're going to need to multiply. So the proportion will always work. It is like your best, it's like the strategy that should be your best friend by now. But if you know already, well, I'm going from like, dollars to coins, so I should multiply, then you're good. You don't have to write a proportion every single time. I do it just so you guys understand where the values are coming from, but you don't have to do it every single time. Hopefully you're gaining that confidence to be able to kind of figure out, oh, I'm going to multiply or I'm going to divide. And if you're confused, do a proportion. Any questions on this one before I move on to the next one?
Nope.